Hey, what's up everyone? This is Snackbox. Hope you all are having an amazing day, guys. In today's video, I want to talk about something that was going on or still going on, and it was very weird and a lot of players caught attention to this. And what I'm talking about is this Champ Chase tournament. Now, as predicted, there are mythical mats on the leaderboards, not on the normal milestones, which is kind of disappointing, but also if you win this tournament, you can get only 75 mythical fragments, which is not even a full craft, but that's not what I want to talk about in this video. So what I want to talk about is the leaderboard, the global leaderboards, right? And there was something weird going on. Now most of them got pushed out of this global leaderboard, but the further you scroll down, you will see more accounts with names like this, like player 1272 blah 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 blah, right? So what is going on here? We don't really know at this moment, but there have been way more names like this, and it has to be accounts that have been created that day, right? That went up with like 16k points or something. Like, look at this, the amount of accounts here, that is crazy. And some of them now even have clans, and I don't know if this is a visual bug or if these are actually accounts. It is pretty weird. Also, most of the clans they are in, it looks like they are, just created. They were just created, or I don't know. I have no idea, but it looks pretty weird. Now, there have been way more in the global leaderboards pretty much the first day as soon as the champ chase started. And yeah, I want to show you another screenshot just so you know what I'm talking about. And here we go. As you can see, there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 actual players. The rest might have been all bots, right? And there are plenty more probably that are just not, high enough to be on the global leaderboards. But this is a little bit worrying to me, to have that many bots in a game. I don't know if these are actually bots, but the chance is pretty high, right? I don't think a lot of players would spend that amount of money on shards that early, because these accounts have to, they probably have been created on that day, right? And I don't think it's a coincidence, right? Now, I also don't know if there's an official statement about this or if this has been addressed, but a lot of people have been catching attention on this and are wondering what the hell is going on. Now, if you would assume that these are bots, right, which is most likely the case, because I can't think of anything else that could be the case here. I ask myself, why are they doing it, or why, or what would be the reasons a company would get so many bots into the game? And I'm not saying these are bots. I don't know that, right, for a fact, but let's just assume they are. Now, one reason I can see is that they want to fill empty matches. So what I'm talking about is, for example, live arena, right, or classic arena, or just in general, I think the biggest reason why I would introduce bots into Rachel Legends is arena, right? For example, live arena. If you play live arena long enough, you're gonna end up in gold no matter what, right? And the thing is, you can't drop out of that gold tier anymore. They changed that, right? So once you climbed all the way up through the tiers and reached gold 1, you cannot drop out of it to silver again. So what ends up happening is that all the active players are going to end up here in the gold tier, and then the lower tiers might end up empty, right? So for newer players, most of the time they are probably facing bots. I don't know if that's a fact or not, but that's just what I'm assuming. I don't think there are enough players in those lower tiers to always face other players, right? Because at some point they're all going to end up here. we know for a fact also that there are bots after losing 3 times in gold. I don't know how it's for the lower tiers, but you're gonna face a bot after 3 loses in a row, right? So there are bots for sure. So this is one reason that I can see why they would, introduce bots to fill up the lower ranks, which kind of makes sense, right? And then also in Classic Arena, same thing probably. I think a lot of accounts in the lower tiers are also bots. Because like I said, at some point, everybody's going to climb up to Gold 1. You can also check in the free-to-play series on the free-to-play challenge. Within the first month, people already, or like the first couple weeks, people already hit gold. And that's because some players are just having one-man defenses, for example, and then you can easily climb up. And then what ends up happening is you probably don't have enough players in those lower ranks, and most of them will probably be inactive accounts or even bots. Which kind of leads to the next point, right? You want to make new players feel successful so they keep playing. You don't want to get them frustrated. You don't want to have them match up with somebody that is way above their level and then get absolutely wrecked and be totally frustrated and then not play anymore, right? And just quit the game. So I guess in that sense, it kind of makes sense to give them, some bots and that way a chance to win. Now, theoretically, another thing that could be is that they want to test or balance gameplay, but we all know that's probably not the case because most of the time champions, don't get really tested, or it doesn't seem like they're getting tested well. We saw that with Maria, and I also think they have, test servers for that to do this. They don't really need to have bots here, but maybe they do. I don't know. Then another reason could be to improve the queue time, which is kind of what we already talked about, right? In, live arena, for example, that you don't have to wait for like 5 minutes until you match somebody. That would definitely speed up, the queue time, and therefore you can get your daily live arena fights going and don't have to wait for too long. That kind of is the same point as the first one, to fill empty matches, right? But another thing that I forgot to mention about the first point is that, sometimes when you have collabs like this, like we just had a Ninja Turtles collab, the player base is definitely spiking, right? Because a lot of players are engaged in this type of collabs and events, and new players come in. But after that, everybody's a little bit burned out, and then the player activity goes down. So maybe that's also a reason to do this, so people can progress accordingly, which is kind of what leads to the next point as well. To smooth out the player progression metrics. The players don't get frustrated. They have a stable win rate and so on, and they can progress accordingly. And all these points kind of are connected, are kind of like the same argument, right? Just different effects, I guess. And with a smooth progression, you also have a healthy engagement, right? So is also another reason. And then the last point, which is kind of the worrying part for me, some companies do that also to create the illusion of a large active player base, and that is kind of like where the problem is, right? When you think you're playing against other players and this game is really active and has a lot of players involved, which is really what you want, right? If you play a game like this, you want to have a very, very large active player base. And if you then face, or you think you're facing another player and you face a bot, that feels weird, right? So I don't know. It's just something where a lot of questions open up. How many players are there actually, and how many bots are there? More than we think? Is it less than we think? What is it? It's just a weird situation. I don't know how to feel about this, but maybe you can let me know in the comments below. How do you guys feel about this? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? apparently, if these are bots, right? We don't know for sure, but let's say if, how do you feel about it? And also, if these are bots, they're not really trying to hide it, right? Like, it's right there in the global leaderboards. If these are bots, which is, most likely the case. I don't have another explanation. Maybe you guys have. So yeah, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. And yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, please hit the like button. It really goes a long way. Also, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more raid content. The YouTube algorithm is going to suggest you a video that you might like right here. And see you in the next one.